This is the Holy Mountain Podcast, where we discuss what it means to find rest, regain perspective, and reconnect with the world around us. All right, welcome back. This is Shane Oehler, and today I got two guests in person. Trying out the video again, see how it goes. But I have Chad Warren and Collin Nethery. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great.
Excellent. So, on the Holy Mountain Podcast, the different guests that I've had, I like to just start off by hearing about a little bit about your guys' childhood, like how you grew up, if the outdoors were a part of that. So maybe Chad, we can start with you. What was your experience growing up in the outdoors?
Yeah, it was limited hunting or fishing, but a lot of time in the outdoors. So I grew up here in the Flathead Valley, and we had a family cabin that basically in the summer, that was where we lived. And so tons of swimming. It was, I did a lot of fishing with lures, catching perch and bass and awesome. Crawdads. So spending a lot of time in the woods. We did a fair amount of camping growing up. I remember I got my first rifle, which was a BB gun. It was one of the pump kind of BB guns.
Was it a Red Ryder?
Pump. It wasn't a Red Ryder.
Okay.
I don't know what brand, but it was you pump it 10 times and that's max capacity. So I'd pump it 12 times and see if it made a difference. And I remember setting up a target out at the cabin and just practice shooting that for hours.
That's awesome.
And did a little bit with slingshot. I also remember we had a longbow, this green, almost fiberglass limb longbow that I loved, but we never had arrows. So I would just get sticks and try to launch it, but never got good with it. I remember trying that, and it hit my arm a few times, and I'm like, nah, it's not fun.
Yeah.
So did away with that, but didn't grow up with kind of an adult male in my life that could take me hunting or would take me hunting. We dabbled in Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, but that just, then sports started to become more of a priority. And so just limited, but spent a lot of time in the woods and outdoors, but nothing as a sportsman.
Yeah. How about for you, Collin? What was your childhood experience in the outdoors?
I grew up on the Gulf Coast, Texas, so spent a lot of time outdoors. Not good at video games, so I didn't play video games. So spent a lot of time outside. Family had a couple hundred acres, family farm, so that's kind of where my hunting journey started. Was getting to spend some time out there. My parents don't hunt, but they appreciate the heritage of it and like the meat that you can get from it. But my father, or my mom's dad, my grandfather was a pretty big outdoorsman, is a pretty big outdoorsman. So did a lot of fishing with him. And when I got to be 12, I did hunter safety. Took me on my first hunt, which was just a management youth hunt, shot a doe. That kind of kicked it off. Ended up spending every weekend, once I could drive, up at the farm hunting East Texas piney woods. So did that, and then got on with a ranch that was out kind of central Texas. Big high fence operation, kind of very different from what you have.
Yeah.
That led to a lot of opportunity. But I found that it was easy to go shoot a deer out there with a rifle, so that I wanted something a little more of a challenge. So I picked up archery. 16. Since.
That's sweet. Yeah. How about for you, Chad? Collin, you shared about having your grandpa that was into hunting, not necessarily your dad, but that was a part of your childhood. You made the comment you didn't have that male figure to kind of take you along that experience. So how did you get into hunting, and at what point in your life did that happen?
So after I'd gotten married, I got married at age 26, and we moved to the mountains in Colorado. So we were in kind of the Granby area, Winter Park, Tabernash, Fraser, Colorado area. And that was a big part of what was going on in that community. And I remember I was pastoring in a church there, and that was kind of everybody, all the adult males there and teenage boys were, hunting season was a big deal. And life kind of shifted when hunting season started. And I just remember thinking, I really want to get into this. I'm very fascinated with this. I had a rifle that my grandfather, who was the grandfather that would have been in my life had he remained in the area, but he was also from Montana. And he was a guy that I remember looking through his photo albums at his funeral, and there was a side of him I didn't even know. But every year they would pack horses and mules into the Bob Marshall Wilderness.
Wow. They
would set up a hunting camp for weeks, and they would just live out there and come back with all kinds of animals.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any of that.
Really?
So it wasn't until, 26, 27 years old, there was another guy that was similar in age. He grew up fascinated with hunting, but that wasn't something his dad or grandparents or uncles ever did with him. So we decided, all right, we're in our late 20s, we're going to go do hunter safety. And so we went and took a class.
That's cool.
And did hunter safety. And we didn't really have anybody. We said, okay, we'll watch some YouTube videos of how to elk hunt. And we were in an area where up in that region, there's a lot of elk near, because we were just near the entrance to Rocky Mountain National Park. And so there were some folks in the church that had some private land, and they said, yeah, you can come elk hunt anytime you want. And so it was 12 minutes from the office.
That's
You just
awesome.
go out and park, and we would go in the evenings. We would meet each other after work, and I got lost a few times in the woods, and we would just figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, I watched this one video, and this guy said, this is what you do, and this is where they're going to be, and they weren't there. So it was like trial and error. And it was all rifle at that point. And so we hunted 4 seasons. I saw one elk the whole time, like out of those 4 seasons that we hunted. And I was like, man, maybe it's a lot harder than you think.
Yeah.
But other guys in the church were always filling their tags. I'm like, man, what's going on here?
Like, what is it?
Yeah.
That's cool. So, when did archery start for you? Because like Collin, you almost had the opposite experience where, like you were saying, hunting in Texas, you're kind of like, well, like I want a challenge. Like you found success early. And so you went to archery for that extra challenge. Like when did you pick up a bow and start bow hunting, Chad?
When I became a senior pastor, a friend of mine said, you need to find something that is technical enough, that requires concentration, some sort of something that can be an avenue of rest, but also excitement and enthusiasm. And somebody had mentioned you should take up archery because you could step out of your office and set up a target and just let some arrows fly. And it could be an easy release, for you to just kind of have something else to do, to decompress.
Yeah.
So I remember becoming the senior pastor at East Haven, and somebody helped me find a bow. And so I got my first bow, and initially was just going to do target archery and just thought, I got a square foam target in my backyard, and I could go out to 30 yards. And I loved it.
Nice.
I loved it. It took finesse. It took practice. It wasn't easy at first. There was a lot to it, and you had to do it to maintain like a goodness. Like you couldn't just be good if you tried it once or twice. Like you had to become proficient in it, and if you didn't maintain it, you could lose it. So I loved it. It was something I could do. And then you and I met and learned that you liked archery, and met Collin. He's an archery guy and wants to get out elk hunting. And all of a sudden I now have sons that are interested, and they want to do archery. I'm like, well, I don't even know what I'm doing. So I need to stay slightly ahead of them so that I know a little bit more than they do, and I'm a little more accomplished. And so then, as you know, my youngest son, he really got interested.
Yeah.
He loved the technical aspect of it. And first thing, I don't know if we're going there yet, but the first thing that I shot was because of Collin.
Yeah.
I had done some turkey hunting, but with a shotgun. He found out, hey, I understand your son wants to do some archery. We've got this issue with the turkey we got to take care of. So we go in, we get the license, we get everything all squared away, and we meet Collin on a Saturday morning, and this thing won't come out of the tree. And so we were all ready for Titus to be the one to harvest, and his little bow wasn't strong enough.
Yeah.
He shot it twice, and the arrow just bounced off. We're like, oh, that's frustrating. And so Collin's like, Dad, you happen to have your bow? You got a license? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you're up. If you think you can make the shot, you're up. And so that was the first animal I harvested with a bow. And I thought, that is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That's so good.
He's diluting the story a little bit. Because it wasn't like he just popped the bird at like a chip shot kind of thing. This bird had after Titus took a couple of swings at it, it decided to relocate to the very top of a Doug fir that would have probably been,
I think I ranged it at 32
yards. So
Yeah. That's pretty significant on a
Well,
turkey.
96
I
feet in
didn't
the
know how
sky.
many details to express here, because for those listening, you don't shoot turkey out of a tree, because if you miss, the arrow goes
Who knows
Yeah.
where? Yeah, exactly.
And so you said, how confident are you can hit this thing? And I'm like, I think I can nail it.
And he did. He shot it right up its tailpipe and cut its head clean off.
Yeah.
It just
A
fell,
Texas heart shot. I've heard
That's
that
right.
called.
and it did not move when it fell, which was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So then we brought it. We were near the church, so we brought it back over to the church, and Titus got to clean.
We had turkey nuggets
Yeah.
that night.
had turkey nuggets. Then you brought turkey nuggets. Next day we went to try to shoot an elk.
Yeah, that's right. And those were in my pack for snacks.
That's
So
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, it's great. So yeah, like you had said, Chad, so you started at the senior pastor here, and that is how we all got connected. I kind of missed that in the intro, but I know Collin and I met at like a membership class,
Yep.
and then you were a part of that class, like teaching it.
Yep.
But yeah, it is a little fuzzy for me, like how it all came together of like actually planning an elk hunt together. Do you guys remember like how that came to be or how
I
that
do.
started?
You and I were sitting on a log on a ranch out past Marion, and we were trying to find elk. You were helping me try to find an elk,
Yeah,
because I
wasn't
don't
hunting.
think you were hunting
I
that.
just had my bugle tube
and
Nice.
help out.
And so we were just kind of traipsing around trying to find something. And we're sitting there, and I think we were talking about one of my buddies from Texas. So Granger, Parker, Tyler. And we were trying to figure out if we could get them, because I was like, they would love this. They would
Mhm.
love to do something like this. And you're like, well, we should plan something next year for them to come up to. And you and I concluded we probably don't know enough about how to help them be successful. So we need somebody who does know enough. And you're like, man, we need to talk to Shane. And I was like, oh yeah, Shane, he's all in. So we talked to you
Yeah.
about, hey, where would you go? What would you do? Can you kind of help us put this thing together?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so we started to plan for something. And then those guys didn't draw tags.
Yeah.
None of them got a tag.
Yeah.
And so we just said,
So
well,
the trip
we're gonna
became
go.
ours.
Yeah.
So we're going to go and we're going to do this. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's how it happened.
Yeah, that's right. I kind of forgot that because, yeah, we did a ton of back end planning, just knowing.
I mean, we were sitting in a conference room with a whiteboard and
Yep.
we were like laying things out, talking about supply and gear lists. You guys
Yep.
made spreadsheets, and we're trying to get these guys up and running. Like, this is different than Texas hunting. This is going to
Yep.
take some outdoor kind of prowess. And
Mhm.
then none of them drew a tag.
Yeah.
And then we were trying to convince them, you should come and just get some experience. And they're like,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That is funny. So, yeah, I guess like with it playing out like that, where it was almost going to be, a trip to help them, but we knew there's potential like for us to still hunt. Like, how did it shift? And like, what were your guys' expectations like coming into the fall, knowing how the trip was looking, I guess?
So you're saying like after we already acknowledged that it was going to be
Like, it would be the three of us.
Three of us.
Yeah.
Maybe some of your boys may or may not have been able to tag along at that time.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out how either one or two of my sons could come. And at one point, it was going to be Titus, and we were going to pull him out of school. And then it looked like that's just too much for him to miss.
Yeah.
And so then it became the three of us. And I remember thinking, I've got a canvas wall tent. We can bring that. And so then it became, you had done a bunch of e-scouting and talked to people. You had been there before and hunted that. So we had your ground knowledge of that spot. And so you had kind of been talking with Shane, like, here's where we went, here's where we were going to go. And so then I think at that point it was just, I was along for the ride. I did very little planning, like if any. I got the tags you told me to get. I drew, I put in for this, and you guys just sent me a map location and said, just meet us here.
Yep.
Okay.
I think
after a while we sent a map location.
After a while,
before we left.
Yeah. And I was sworn I could never speak of that location
right.
anywhere at any time. So I'm a little nervous right now. I forget about the fact that
I won't ask you too many leading questions.
I actually didn't hunt. I didn't go hunting. I'm not supposed to tell anybody.
I think I was excited for Granger and Parker and their crew, because Granger's son might have
Lincoln was
joined us. I was excited for that, but then when it all came down to it and they weren't going to be able to make it, there was a bit of me that was relieved because it was like huge.
Well, there's a burden you got to hope they're
right.
successful.
Yeah.
They're expending a lot more to get here.
Right.
And you feel this burden to make sure it's a fun experience for them, that they have a good time, and that they're successful, that they harvest.
Yeah. Because I remember in the prep that we were doing, we were potentially we might be splitting up in 3 teams.
Yeah. So there's going to be eight of us.
Yeah.
8 or 9.
Yep. Yeah. I think possibility. Yeah. Of 9, I think. And so, yeah, we're kind of doing e-scouting prep and building these hunt plans just in case there were 9 people. We had to split into these 3 groups. And so I think for me too, there was that aspect of relief almost okay, the logistics are going to be so much simpler with it just being the 3 of us. And we can just hunt together every day. That's going to be so simple. So I think for me, that was a shift. But I remember in your office, you kind of had this Shane, are we even going to see elk?
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Because I had not been successful. Even the previous season with you, we didn't get into anything.
Yeah.
The one hope I had is that season that you and I went out.
Which was so we spent essentially a full year planning our hunt.
A year prior to that, yeah. I had gone out to that same ranch that we were on with my bow, brand new archer, bow hunter, never done it before. And I had the Hoochie Mama hand call or whatever. And I was out there. The rancher told me a big herd had come through there. I hear bugling off in the distance. Could have been another hunter. Who knows? And I'm just wearing that hand call out. And it's that bugle's not getting any closer. And then all of a sudden, a 5x5 bull comes right up on me. I make the mistake of standing behind the tree instead of in front of the tree. So by the time it comes in range, wins me, takes off. But I'm that was day 1 with a bow in my hand to actual hunt. I'm this is great.
I've got it. Yeah.
And then I went out there for I don't know how many more weeks and nothing. I didn't see him.
Yeah.
Went out during rifle season, didn't see him on multiple occasions. So I was is this real?
Yeah.
Is it how likely? If we're going to drive this far, expend this much energy, pack this much food, how real is this?
Yeah.
It's not real.
And I remember telling you, I'm confident we'll be in elk. I think from your stories, Collin, but then also some of the experience I had, we had opportunities. It was just a matter of it coming together. And so I remember telling you, I'm confident there will be an opportunity. I just don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how many. I don't know when. Yeah. But yeah, I remember trying to give some hope,
but also manage it
right.
you kept saying, I think you'll have an opportunity, but it's going to be up to you
Yep.
if you take advantage of it.
Because I'd
If you
experienced
don't,
that.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right.
okay.
Like past experiences. Yeah. Like there'd be days where we'd have like 5 or 6 run-ins with bulls. And I remember one day, like 3 of us each had a bull within 30 yards and no one even drew back. Just because like the situation didn't quite line up. And so that was, again, I'm like, we can get there. We can get as close as we can, but that doesn't always mean, I don't know. I feel like you can just never guarantee a kill. Like it's so circumstantial.
Yeah.
So
The final 30 seconds is probably the most, it's obviously the most important 30 seconds, but it's the hardest to complete. So,
right.
And it's very different than hunting where there's a feeder that goes off at a certain time.
Right.
And the animals come out and you're kind of, I know when and where they're going to be.
Yeah.
This is so different.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into the actual hunt. If you guys remember, it's like day 1, we finally are like driving there, super long drive. Collin, you and I drove through the night. I remember feeling like delirious.
Yeah.
Finally getting to a spot where we're going to set up the wall tent and then like trying to do that on no
I
sleep.
wish I had video of trying to walk through that with you.
Yeah.
Because you had never set it up or
Right.
anything. I had helped Chad take it down,
Yep.
pack it up. So I had a little bit of knowledge about how to put it together. But yeah, I had worked a full day.
Yeah.
Worked a full day.
Yep.
Then we got in the truck and left. And then we stayed up through the night
Yeah.
because I felt bad. I didn't want you to drive and me be sleeping, vice versa. So,
Right.
yeah. I don't know how long it took us to get it together, but I was glad when we
Yeah.
was all done.
For sure. And it was immediate nap time. Like, we'll just take a nap.
Then I think we had a thunderstorm roll in.
Yeah.
So
So weather gave us an excuse to not, feel like we were being soft or anything. But yeah, I remember that was funny. Like even trying to remember like which pieces go where. And I was like looking at him like, my brain can't even like comprehend what's happening with the wall tent. But
And you guys are now, I think, a little gun shy of the wall tent because you think it's more work than it's worth. It's not that hard. Like,
yeah.
Next time I'll be there and I'll set it.
Yeah, I'm sure we go way quicker.
Yeah.
I feel like taking it down, I was like, that wasn't that bad.
no.
But it's heavy, takes up a lot of space.
But there's a sequence to how you put it together.
Right.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference.
And the pieces are similar enough that it's easy to so there's like let's say a 4-foot pole and a 5-foot pole, and you got to make sure that you're going to put the right ones in the right spot, and if you don't, then
when you haven't slept in 30 hours, you can't tell.
Yeah.
Are they the same size? I just can't tell. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But
I was thankful we had it.
Yeah.
But
me too.
I loved it. I showed up and my bunk was set up. I just went in and went to sleep. It was great. Thank you.
That's right. Yeah. I was going to say, you got the special treatment. Yeah.
Very, very, very helpful.
Yeah. But I think even with that, so we knew like you had a shorter window that you could be gone. And so we had said like you were going to be like first up to shoot. So yeah, we all got there. We kind of picked the spot that I think
You're missing a significant component.
Okay,
right?
yeah, go
This
for it.
is the, how excited can I get about this? I'm driving a long way.
Yeah, I know what
I'm
you're
talking to
saying
my
now.
wife. She's like, there's got to be elk between
That
where
night.
you are and where you're going in a much shorter clip. Why is this? And I'm like, this is the spot. It's going to be great. And I call you and it's like sun's just coming down. And I'm like, how's it going out there? And you guys are like, look, we're already into them. Like they're out there. And you hold the phone up and I hear bugling off in the distance. And I'm like, that's amazing. But I don't have great coverage. So I lose you and I'm like, okay, they're there. They're right by the camp. This is amazing. I get a hold of my wife. I'm telling her, look, they're already hearing them. This is why I'm driving. She's like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. Then I find out that wasn't real elk. It was Shane Oehler. So as I adjust my mic, Shane, I think you need to give us a little sample of what you can do
So I
to
can do
imitate a bull elk in
like
the
a
rut.
whistle that sounds like a distant bugle. I don't know if I can do it right now.
Come on.
Yeah, we'll try. So
See, that sounds
very
like
faint,
it's
but yeah.
It's a couple miles out, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
So over the phone, it was like perfect. Like you can barely hear them in the distance. And then
I was convinced.
it was like right at the point where Collin and I were going to be like, oh, like that was us, like just kidding. And then the call dropped. And so, I
believe it.
Yeah.
The whole
So
rest of the 3 hours, I'm like, I can't believe it. I wonder if they're getting one right now.
Yeah. And then I think that was when you called your wife on the in-between. And so I at least like felt bad. I think we both like collectively like, oh, like he's walking into this situation. And yeah, we.
But I just assumed we were in the thick of it. Like we're all going to be riding elk home.
Yep.
Is what's going to happen. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. So that first day we kind of explored a spot, Collin and I saw a ton of turkey, saw a bunch of moo cows, but
It's near the camp.
yeah, just kind of like
Did
this
you
back
guys get there like a day
drainage.
before season like that? So why didn't you hunt that day? Did you?
We did.
Oh,
that
yeah.
evening.
Yeah, we
Okay.
did. Like that spot that we explored, like we would have pursued an elk, like if we saw one, but it was just kind of seeing what was around camp. Because I remember, again, like we were both.
We pulled into camp at like 7 a.m. Let's say it took an hour and a half to get the tent and everything set up.
Yeah.
Conked out for 2 or 3 hours, which put us into the early afternoon, heat of the day. Kind of got our stuff squared away, packs ready. And then we went out maybe 3 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
for a quick jaunt around the backside of camp. Where, we ran a few mule deer, a lot of turkeys, and watched some moo cows mosey around.
Yep. Because I think like you still had to put a sight tape on your bow too. I think it's like
so
we were shooting.
checking
at
bows
camp.
out. The other issue is that we got there and had, I think, 2 or 3 camps
Mm-hmm.
selected, scouted out, and each one of them was already full.
Yep.
So then we kind of shoot from the hip. We found this spot that was a little more off the beaten track than we originally intended.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really messed with my mind a bit, because it's like, well, now what is the rest of the hunt going to look like?
Right.
Because all these spots that we had e-scouted, are they going to be what they think?
Right.
Are they going to be full of people? There's a lot more people this time than there was the first time I went out to this area.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. And I think I was surprised by that too. This was like the first elk tag I had drawn that just wasn't just like a general tag.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it's like a ton of other people like also drew this tag in our exact same spot. But yeah, so I think because of that, also when Chad finally did show up, we kind of made our plan for the next day. It was like, let's go into, in some ways, like what I thought was going to be the best spot, but it was also like going to be the most work to get in and out, like less access. I think like less roads. It was going to be like hiking in potentially farther than other spots. And so that's honestly like one of my least favorite parts of hunting is like driving to the spot you want to be.
the anxiety of,
Oh yeah. Just like if somebody's here, like that's going to be like a sucker punch to me, you know? And so I was so relieved just to get to that spot and like not have anybody there. And I think immediately I was like, okay.
It's all going to be okay.
It's all going to be okay. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know who wants to go, but maybe talk us through like that first day, just like even walking in to that spot.
Yeah, I mean, we get there. We went somewhere else first, didn't we? And we ran into somebody. There was one place we went and some guys were parked. Maybe that was day 2.
I
But
genuinely don't remember.
we arrived at the spot that ended up being the spot that was best, I think, overall.
Mm-hmm.
We got there day 1. We took a day 1 photo.
Mm-hmm.
We were hiking into an area that had experienced burn maybe a year prior or 2 years prior.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had a lot of these dead standing burned trees that had kind of this charcoal resin on it. And so I remember we kind of scraped some off and put it on our face as some face camo war paint.
Yeah.
I remember we were probably there a little later than you wanted us to be because the sun was already pretty much out. We were already into shooting light.
Yeah.
I think you wanted to be in location before the sun came up, and we just getting ready that morning just took longer. Driving there took longer. So we got there and the sun was already out. and we started our hike in, and we're kind of traipsing in and talking and whispering, and I even remember the topic of conversation. We were talking about like finances and stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's
I do
so
remember
interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you and
spending practices and all
Yep.
kind of
Dave Ramsey.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then
That's
I
funny.
remember saying, "Okay, stop. We got to get a photo of like the hike in." And so we grab a photo. I think I recorded a small video of us, and then we turn around. We maybe take 5 steps, and we almost get ran over
Yeah.
by a spike bull. And the hooves are so loud on the ground. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then you're
Mini
like,
heart attack.
Yeah, right.
they're in here. They're in here. This is going to
Yeah,
be amazing.
that's a real elk.
Like, that's
Yeah,
real.
actually
Like,
here.
he's
Yeah.
not lying.
Yeah.
And I remember I was going to go in with the mentality that I've tried to find elk and shoot them on my own with 0 success.
hmm
Shane has a giant elk in his office and pictures of others. I'm going to do exactly what he says. No matter what, I will do what he says, when he says, and how he says it. And we're going to see how this turns out. That was my philosophy
Yeah.
on it is.
Should have told him to shoot the spike.
I know. Well, I remember like we each had that, like,
Should we?
does anybody want to shoot it? Does anybody want to shoot it? And we're like, day one, we're like not even an hour in and we almost get run over by an elk. Like, I think everyone's like, we're holding out.
We're
We're
holding
not
out.
going to
Because he
just shoot a spike.
got startled by us, didn't know what we were, and then kind of trotted off, was staring at us, and then trotted off some more.
Mm-hmm.
I think in that same spot, the next day, we saw some deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had the. Well, I don't know if it's the next day, but we
We saw turkey.
saw a deer that was getting chased by a coyote.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And then we saw a turkey not far from there.
Mm-hmm.
And what made it interesting too was there were cattle being run in there, like
Mhm.
Black Angus cows.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of messed with you a little bit from time to time. You'd hear things in the woods, you'd
Yep.
hear hooves, you'd kind of be like, what? And you joked with me a few times, you're like, they're in there. I'm like, they are? You're like, no, it's just cows.
Yeah. Well, I remember,
Sure.
I think it was that first day we were hiking in and we had kind of had the conversation too of like, again, we knew Chad, you're going to be like shooter number 1, Collin, you'd go second. My biggest thing was like, if there's a bear, like I would love to kill a bear.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I remember we were hiking in and you see one of those Black Angus cows, but you're like, I think bear. And I was like, I think he's like messing with me. And you're like, I'm dead serious. And then, so we're all like looking at our binoculars. I'm like, oh my, like at first I'm like, oh my goodness, like that thing's huge. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, like, no, it's a moo cow. Like we're good. But like, I remember, yeah, you just like really thinking that was a black bear. And then that got me amped up. And I thought that was the biggest black bear to ever walk the earth. You know?
But we walked in, and then I remember we paused because wind was shifting.
Yeah,
And that was obviously a thing I didn't know was a thing.
Yeah.
So we hung out in a spot because the wind was coming down to up or something like
It's
that.
kind of like our spot. We'd hang out every morning and
Yep.
wait for the wind to shift,
Mm-hmm.
which was important. I mean, that's a huge part of it.
For sure. Yeah, because it was like the thermals were still pulling down. And so we would sit in that little kind of saddle just until the sun was out enough, heating things up enough to start getting wind to pull up. Because then essentially we were working like a ridge line. That was the plan. And so, yeah, we kept working down once wind was good. And I remember getting to a spot and I was like, I can't remember if I'd said like, I just want to peek over here. And then Chad, if you're like, should I bugle? You know, like, or who bugled? But it was one of those like, yeah, should we just like try? We're like,
No,
"Sir."
it was you. Because I didn't know how to bugle.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
cheater version, and I
Yeah,
had
but-
never really tried it,
Yeah.
except
By
for
the
in
end
my
of the
truck.
trip, we got some good videos. Of you
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
ripping
I'll have
on
to
it,
yeah,
yeah.
post that one with the fist bump. I'm like, nice.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so then Collin, you like rip a bugle at that one saddle and I don't hear anything, but both you and Chad were
I
like,
heard something in the distance. Yeah.
yeah. Like,
Which is interesting. Then that's the tough part about this particular spot, is that it was a saddle on a ridge with 2 pretty significant ravines on either side
mhm.
that led into some bowls where it just echoes and
Yep.
makes things hard to tune in. So I'm always be curious about what the science behind that is, and why couldn't you hear it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, so you guys heard something and like we're convinced enough to where I think we like collectively like, okay, let's just kind of sit up on this edge and glass and then see if we hear more stuff. And before long, like we did hear more bugles. And I remember there was like a pretty consistent like frequency to the bugles where it wasn't like a bull was passing through. We know like there is a bull in this area, but it was like whether or not he was going to show himself and we'd actually be able to see him. And so, yeah, I remember glassing for a while. And then it was kind of at that point where like, okay, we got to do something. Like, I don't know how much like benefit it's going to be to just like sit here all day and glass. And so I remember Collin, I like walked over to you. We were kind of looking on X, like, what's the plan? How would you approach it? Here's how I would approach it. And then you're like, there he is. Yeah. And it was like this bull had just like stepped out of the timber, really not for that long. Yeah. But we were able to get eyes on him. And then I think really it was you that was able to like keep picking him out like through the timber as he worked back up and bedded down. And so.
But we stayed there for like another hour and a half, just observing his behavior,
looking to see if he was going to move again. And that's where I learned about bench.
Mm-hmm.
So the ridge that he was working up had 2 significant benches on them that were real greened up and nice. You could see him popping out through the timber pretty easy because of the burn.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like he was headed right up for that. So that's when we made a game plan to.
Yep. Because I remember, we were like trying to make sure like he was going to bed down just so we like didn't get caught off guard, I guess. But yeah, so we did make that plan. Like it's probably best for us to backtrack a ways and then try to get like level with him and then just like work across that.
Well, yeah, I think we all dropped a pin where we saw him last.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew kind of what lat line he was going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took an hour and a half to get around, quietly sneak over because we had to go around the bowl and try to hit the backside of that mountain kind of ridge that he was on. And then we could skirt around it.
Yeah. So we ended up like we decided to split. So then I would love to hear like each of your guys' kind of like stories and perspectives because originally I was not going to go with you, Chad. I was like, kind of trying to anticipate another exit route, potentially keep eyes on him if anything happened. And then you would kind of come over, like, I would like you to go with me and like talk me through this. But then Collin, we talked about having you go even like over the top into another like thicker patch of timber that again, we were expecting like he could try to bounce out this way. And so I think we all gave each other like fist bumps and then
dropped our packs.
Yeah, dropped our packs and then
we had lunch for a second.
Yeah.
No, that was when we.
Oh, that's true. That was after
when we were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay, we waited for
whatever might happen next.
That's right. Yeah, stay tuned. Cliffhanger. Yeah. But yeah, Chad, maybe you go and kind of like give some play-by-play once you and I branched off.
At the location of the pack drop, we hatched the plan. Collin heads out to go up straight up the backside of the ridge and kind of jump over the top. Shane and I proceed up to the lat line that we had tagged him on, and we're going to skirt around the ridge and come around and see, because wind is pulling up, or thermals are pulling up from the bottom of where this creek bed was up on the mountainside. We start making our way. Again, it's all this like standing burned timber. So it's a weird, you can see it's kind of clear, but it's kind of not. And we are getting closer. I think I smelled something. I'm like, I smell something. And then you said, okay, we're gonna take off our shoes and we're gonna sneak in on our socks. So you and I sit down, we take off our shoes, we stand up, take one step, and we hear and you see a bull elk kind of trotting away. And we're sure that we just bumped him.
Yeah.
Like we just pushed him. And then you said, okay, we need to get to higher ground because he's going to try to wind us, but he may not be out for sure. He may have just heard us, saw something, but he's going up, probably towards where you were, but he's going up, and we need to get higher so he can't wind us. So we start taking big steps, quiet steps to gain elevation up this ridge, and out of the corner of our eye, we see another bull coming straight at us, just walking though, but kind of walking with intention, not running, but intentionally coming almost directly at us for whatever reason. So we stop. You're there over my shoulder, ranging him and whispering in my ear. And this is where I'm like, I will do everything he says exactly what he says. So we're standing there in our socks. This other bull has kind of headed up. We don't know where he went, but he went above us. This other one is coming directly at us, full rack, 5x5. And he's literally, it looks like he's staring right at us and he's walking straight at us. But it's this timber burned area where there's these just tall black tree trunks just standing up. So every once in a while you'd lose line of sight. And you just said, okay, he's at 60, 50. 40, you need to draw your bow. So I wait for his face to go behind a tree.
Yeah.
I draw. You're like, okay, he's at 35. You need to shoot him when you have a shot. Take the shot. Yeah, it's getting quiet.
Yeah.
He's getting closer. And so I remember he stopped, and I'm at full draw, and his vital section is behind a tree. And I'm like, ah. And then he kind of stops going directly at us and peels up like he's going to parallel us and just start going high, almost where that other one went to kind of wind us. So he's trying to get above us. I think he could see us or hear us or something. And you're like, you need to shoot him when you can. And so he takes a step, and I just put one right through the ribs.
Yeah.
And he takes off. Then immediately I am just floored. My legs are shaking. You're amped. You're like, that was a great shot. That was a great shot. You hit him. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I have one bar of service. I FaceTime my wife. I'm like, it happened. She's like, great. Where is it? I'm like, well, he's not here, but I got him. Okay, well, where is he? He took off, but I got him. She's like, but where is he? Like, it was not like you don't have him because he's not there.
Yeah.
And then as I'm talking to her, he's running below us, maybe 50, 60 yards away. And I'm like, okay, I got to go. So I dropped the phone, and but
you don't hang up. So she's just seeing the sky.
And I'm like, we're like, there he is. And you're like, shoot him again. And I'm like, I can't. I don't have a shot. So he takes off, and that's what led up to that moment.
Yep.
And it turns out it was 8.9 yards.
Yep. That's what I was going to say. It's like, I'll talk through, because I remember like some of the specifics, because as he was coming up, I remember telling you like, just like, wait, I'll get you a range. Like you were saying, he was like weaving through the burnt timber, so I could never get a clear like hit on him on my rangefinder. And then it was finally like 32 yards when I did, and he was like not slowing down at all. So I remember telling you, he's at 32, but he's still coming. Just hold your top pin. Like he'll be close. And then, yeah, like you said, I was like, okay, when his head goes behind another tree, draw. You did that almost immediately, because he did cross right in front of or right behind another tree. And then I was worried he was going to be too close. Like that something was going to happen and like spook him, because he was just coming straight at us. And so I was thankful that he peeled off a little bit, but then I thought like our wind is pulling up, and now he's almost like at an up and diagonal. And so then I did that little like cow call, because he was going to step behind another tree. So I stopped him, and he kind of like popped up. And then, yeah, you drilled him immediately. Like it was one of those, like you did everything like as you should as well, where it was like, okay, here's the opportunity to draw. Hope he draws. Okay, yeah, he just drew. Like I just stopped him. Hopefully he shoots. Oh yeah, he just shot. So it was like everything in my head like was happening. So it was great. But I just remember being stunned, because it was, before noon on the first day, you shot this bull at 8.9 yards. I was just like, that is insane.
Yeah, it was like 1050. That
it was right around 11.
Yeah.
And then did you guys get all the way around to the pen that you dropped? Or
No.
you
Nope.
weren't quite.
Yeah,
probably
we weren't
100
quite
yards
there.
away.
Yeah, because we had taken our boots off when we were like 150 yards from the bench, and then it was like I looked up, caught a little bit of movement. I could see like one side of the bull's rack and then like half of his body, and so if that was the same bull, he was either on his feet and had come around farther and dropped down a little bit, or again, it could have been like a different bull entirely, and we just hadn't seen it in the timber. Because what were you experiencing like from your perspective? Because I remember once we did reconnect, I was like floored at what happened from your end.
I was confused for what happened.
Right.
Because, so when we departed from each other, the plan was that I was just gonna be waiting on the opposite side of the bench, and I wouldn't move position until you cow called at me 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then we split ways, and I don't remember if you guys hung out for just a little bit, because you guys had a lot shorter
Right.
track
We might
than I
have.
did to go over. But I remember when I got to the top of the ridge, in my head I was like, I don't know how much time has passed. Like they could be already where they're supposed to be, or they might not even have moved yet, because there was no way for us to communicate at that point. And I was getting nervous that, we saw the bull headed up the ridge. What if he's already, when I got to the top of the ridge, turned out there was another little opening in the timber, another little saddle. So like, oh shoot, maybe he's up here. So I didn't want to bust through that too fast. So I eased through, got to watching Onyx the whole time, trying to figure out where I'm at. Got to the top, could look down at the bench you guys were headed towards, and saw there was just pretty steep descent of just shale. So I knew if I was going to step on it, I was going to bust whatever was below me.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up having to just camp out up high for a bit. 10 minutes maybe. And I just glassed that bench, and I got a pretty good view of it. And I didn't see anything down there. So I thought, they must have pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of repositioned, and then I saw the butt end of an elk headed down from the far side of the bench of where Chad and Shane were headed. And he was headed away, and I was like, there goes the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We spooked him.
So that must have been the first elk that we pushed.
I'll tell you my theory here.
Yeah.
So I saw that, I stopped again, and eventually I got to about maybe 50 yards above the bench, and I just sat on a tree and waited to hear for those 3 calls, just because you never know. And then I thought I heard them, and so I just started bebopping down and worked around the backside of that bench, and then boom, nice bull pops up out of this thick grass and hightails it, and I'm like, I just screwed up the hunt for everybody. Like that was Chad's bull.
Yeah.
It could have been my bull.
Right.
It could have been Shane's bull. And
Yeah.
now it's gone. But oh well. I mean, like that's the hunt.
Nothing you can do.
So I kept pushing, and then I get there and I see Shane, and Shane's eyes are wide open, and he's like, "You got one," and I was like, "What?" And so then they go on to tell me their story, and so that then the search was on, and we're all jacked and excited. My theory on what I saw was that I don't know how many elk you guys saw. You said the 2 bulls.
2 bulls, and
cow?
there was a cow down low.
Okay.
But she like ran complete opposite direction.
And so then I had the bull that was bedded down in that bench that I couldn't see until I was on him.
And you said he was big.
He was
right?
big, yeah. Just a nice 6-point.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he was probably 40 yards at max from me when he jumped up.
It's crazy.
And so I'm thinking there was just a handful, just a decent sized herd, and that the tail end of the ones that I saw, they must have had a few that were bedded around or just moseying in the shade, just starting to warm. So yeah, we went back. I got the whole story that you guys just heard. We started our search.
Yep. Yes.
We looked for like 2 hours, maybe hour and a half.
It was a
Trying to
while.
follow one
Yeah.
trail.
Like I think it was a pretty spotty blood trail that we were on for a little bit, but then it did get to a point where we're like, I don't know where he's headed now. And so
there was no arrow,
yeah,
just like a little bit of tiny spots of blood.
yeah,
Headed downhill as you'd
Mhm.
expect. And then slowly kind of wrapping, but more or less just going downhill.
yeah. And so yeah, I remember getting to a point where I think, Collin, you had found blood again, or like at least like tracks
Yeah, I was
that you were
looking at-
pretty confident.
Yeah, just a game trail.
Yeah. But pretty confident, like this is the direction he was headed. I think this is him. And so you guys stayed on that. And I said I was just going to walk the creek bed because, like, again, that was kind of where we expected him to go, just drop down and bed down somewhere. And so we were getting pretty close to like actually like intersecting and meeting. And I'm trying to remember, I was like hearing something, or did we bump him twice?
Bumped him. Well, we bumped him once.
Once? Okay. So yeah, I remember like working down the creek bed. Again, you guys were coming down. So I was like, okay, we have to be getting close. And then I started like hearing something. And then I was like moving closer to it. I could tell it was like, I don't know the word I'm trying to look for. It's like labored breathing. Like where, yeah, like definitely like lungs filling with blood, most likely. And so I'm like peeking through because it's thick, like in the creek bed. Yeah. And I'm peeking through and I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. He's like right here bedded down. And then there was another elk that had bedded with him.
I think a cow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think that cow busted out and then he finally took off. And so then we were trying to just make sure we saw like the direction that he was going. But then at that point,
Away from the truck.
yeah, away from the truck, he was going farther away. Yeah.
And
But-
that's when we had lunch.
Yeah. That's when we were like, okay,
let
let's
him calm down.
yeah, like I remember I was super bummed because I was like, he was going to die right there. But like I knew I had bumped him and the adrenaline rush like carried him. And so we saw again the direction that he was going, but yeah, decided to just sit down and eat. And I remember like, at least for me, that's still like the worst feeling ever. Like not knowing what exactly is going to happen. And again, like feeling pretty confident. Yeah, we're going to recover this elk, but again, you never know. Like the blood trail's already been tricky. So yeah, I remember we like forced ourselves to wait for like an hour and a half.
I can't.
Yeah, something like that. But I was just like anxious that entire time. I feel like you were already like tag punched optimistic. Like
I was like,
yeah.
he's all but in the freezer.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we finally finish eating lunch. We get back on the trail. I don't even remember if we did pick up blood again, but we started trying to follow tracks, kind of like zigzagging. I remember Collin, you and I were like kind of heading up the front because we had seen him go around this tree. So I was like heading towards that tree. You started working like the edge kind of the creek bottom again.
Yeah.
And yeah, you turned towards me and you're like, oh, he's right here. And I was like, okay, like we want Chad to like have the experience.
It was like
yeah.
on Christmas morning when your parents, like you're supposed to find a gift and you don't quite see it. And so they're trying to give you hints like, maybe you should look behind the tree or something. And you guys are like, maybe you should look over here. And I'm like, you think it went in there? And you're like, maybe it did. Let's find out. Why don't you go look? And I'm like, he's in here. And you guys, yep, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, and I remember,
and we have video of that.
Yeah, I'll have to post the video too, but because Collin was like heavy blood, and then you walk over and you're like, I can't see the blood anywhere. And it's one of those like look up and you're literally gonna see the bowl right here, and then you finally do. You're like, oh yeah, he's right here, and I can't remember which one of us was like, well, is he breathing or is he dead? And you're like, he's breathing. And I remember like cutting off the video, like, oh man, like I don't want, just another shot with like a struggling elk on video, but I think he had died.
Yeah.
We just like
I had already
repositioned.
Yeah, I had already like kind of
Yeah.
But-
So yeah, we finally go, and yeah, what was it like, I guess, just getting your hands on the bull for the first time?
It's so exhilarating. It's really hard to describe. and you just are so close. They're so massive. And these elusive creatures that you only really see from a distance, like there you are, you see one in person, and it's just huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start thinking, oh man, we got to get this thing out of here. And it's in a creek bed
Mm-hmm.
that's all dried out, but it's like down in, and then you start thinking, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get out? Is this where we process it? Do we pull it out somewhere? Can we even pull it? Like, this thing is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, then we start taking a bunch of pictures. We get all the right photo op with it, and it's really cool. And then I'm thinking, this in my head, how and where we were going to clean it. It was a flat surface. It was nice and cool and dry, and that's not at all what this is in. Like, it's in the thicket of these bushes, and
Yeah.
And so I think it was kind of a joint effort, but I can't remember if you kind of led the effort to start processing and skinning and
Mm-hmm.
quartering. But
Because again, like I had done it before, but I remember like you'd worked at a butcher shop.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those like, I want to see how Collin like would approach this. And yeah, always trying to learn faster because I still feel like I'm not fast at it by any means. Like I know what to do,
and we
but
needed to be fast because the flies.
yes.
Oh my
We
goodness.
found out Chad's fear
Well,
in the process.
we had left one of the quarters up top.
We took we had a
It
tarp.
was in a
so we
game bag.
Put a
Yeah.
drop cloth down, in the shade as best we could, but I mean, it was pretty sunny and warm that day.
Right.
Yeah. So we did the drop cloth up high out of the creek bed. And then we were shuttling the quarters up, put them in a game bag, and then laying them on the drop cloth.
And we go up there after we put one up, and we're putting the second one up there, and the amount of fly eggs that were being
Yeah, it's
laid
gross.
on the outside of that game bag was alarming,
Mm-hmm.
to say the
I
least.
thought you might have thrown up.
And I'm like, we've got to get this thing going. They're gonna eat the elk before we get this thing.
It's gonna be an easy pack out.
Yeah.
And I was just grossed out the amount of flies. And then they were like landing on any time like we had pulled
Yeah.
part of the carcass, they were just on it. Thousands of flies. I'm thinking the meat's gonna go bad. We're gonna have maggots everywhere. Like, we got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So it took 2 hours probably.
I don't remember.
I don't know. It took a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
we started towards the truck at 4:30.
Okay, yeah, because I think we found the bull around 2.
You could check it out on your phone.
That's true,
Right?
yeah.
Find the numbers.
Yeah.
But it was a couple hours there.
Yeah.
And then we stopped. We ate something really quick to get some nutrients. And we had decided we're going to do this in one trip. We're going to haul this guy out in one trip. And that was the worst decision.
Yeah, because I think Collin, you like called me out because I
I was
think
like, this is
that morning we had talked about like pack outs and I was like, I want to see like how 2 hindquarters would feel. And so then we're like, maybe we'll do it in one trip. And you're like, here's your opportunity.
yeah. So we got to feel what it felt like.
Yeah.
Man.
It was the second elk that I've packed out. First elk was also in one trip, and it was horrendous. And so when these guys said, "Yeah, let's do this in one trip," I was advising against it. But Chad's elk, Chad's choice. That's the way I see it.
Yep.
And so, yeah, like Chad had the head,
And the hide.
and the hide,
Yep.
and some scrap meat, I think.
Yep. A big sack
Mhm.
of scrap.
And then Shane had the 2 hindquarters, and then I had the 2 shoulders and straps, and, maybe tenderloins or
My
something.
goodness, that was heavy.
Mhm.
I remember leaving there thinking, hope we make it. But
I just kept thinking,
I think it was,
every step we take, maybe we drop some, and at least it's closer to the truck for a second trip.
Yeah.
And we just kept one foot after another.
Mhm.
Shane was out front, just trudging away.
And then I fell very quickly behind.
And then we were going up that kind of,
yeah, like pulling up out of the ravine.
there was that really loose dirt stuff.
Yeah, just like
and I
sand
remember
almost.
you like took a misstep and ended up down, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I also had
We
my
didn't-
bow and Shane's bow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, I hope he didn't injure himself.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, yeah, so at that point I still
gotta get a
was.
picture of that.
Yeah, I still was in the front. And I think the sound, because like Chad, your load was like very far out. Like
Yes.
it was like extending a ways. And so then I heard something and like in my mind, that's what made sense. Like that was probably the elk rack. Like your pack probably caught on something. And so I turned fully expecting to see you down. And then I like looking, I'm like, where's Collin? I can't even see him. And then I like run over and you're like stand up and you're just like covered in like
a coal miner, man.
Dirt. Yeah.
This black steady dirt.
Yeah, in the creek bottom, dry creek bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
My trekking pole had snapped off in my hand. The dirt had slipped. I tried to brace myself with a trekking pole. The handle snapped off in my hand, and I went down.
Yeah.
Pulling up pictures. I want to see a timestamp of that because.
So I did see, so like we got to the bowl like at 2:04. So 2:04 p.m.
Yep.
The pack out pictures I have are 5:44. So it took us,
Full,
three plus hours. Yeah.
And then we got back to camp.
I don't remember.
7:17. Yeah, 7:15-ish. So, I mean, honestly, that's not terrible. Like hour and a half pack out, but it was brutal.
It was
long. Yeah, long day.
legs were hips, knees, everything
Yep.
sore.
Like I remember it was one of those like, I need to like sit down and relieve some of this pressure, but I'm not going to want to get back up.
Yeah.
And so that was like the constant battle. But I remember like the way this spot kind of laid out, you kind of broke through the timber and it was like almost like grassy, like for the last chunk. And once we hit that, my legs were cramping almost every step. And I remember just counting to 10 in my head, like in a sing-song way. And that was like the only way like I could keep going. And then I would just like restart again. But I remember, I was hurting for sure.
I think it was like 2 miles, close to 2 miles.
Yeah, I think so.
Not a ton of elevation gain or drop, but it was tough terrain.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was not smooth and easy. And then at the end, you kind of link up with some sort of trail that goes along the fence line.
Mm-hmm.
And you just kind of follow that. And if we were those that would violate rules, we could have driven through the fence and all the way up to where
there's a gate.
But we are not those.
We're not those people.
So we kept hiking.
We just hiked forever.
Yeah.
And that was the story of, and I'm thinking, man, when you go with Shane and you do exactly what he says, you get enough by noon.
Yeah. It's easy.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I do remember like being so relieved again, just to like have a bowl down. Like day one, I was like, man, that really like frees up opportunity and I don't know, pressure. Like I think anytime you come back from a trip and you're like, well, we didn't get anything. Like I definitely am bummed, Yeah. So to at least like have a bowl, I was like, okay, we did it. We did something.
Successful. I mean, it could be successful without an animal, but
right. But
it's super successful.
that's right. Yeah.
And what was interesting, I think my expectation was, given the time of year, it was going to be one of those call, bugle engagements where you're bringing them to you. And this was spot and stock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And because that initial bugle we heard, we didn't hear another one that day.
Well, we did hear more, but like he wasn't ever responding. Like it was very much like, I'm here. Like just wanted like a pretty subtle location bugle. Like not at all like trying to pick a fight with anybody. Just like, I'm here. And like we would try, doesn't care.
Yeah, we would respond.
Yeah.
And it was 2 days later that we got into a dialogue with like one. We don't know if it was But we were getting closer and closer. He was getting closer, and you're banging on trees and doing everything you can to just pick a fight with this guy.
Yep.
Oh man, that was so exhilarating.
I mean, very similar scenario that day.
Mm-hmm.
We got to that same spot, bugled from the same saddle, looked down to that same little clearing, and boom, there he was walking down towards us, and he was a big one. And so yeah.
And this was Collin's turn.
Adrenaline, adrenaline was flowing.
Yeah.
Then we were
bugling, talking, getting closer, drawing in.
I don't think we could have done it any different, any better.
Well, I didn't know bugle cadence at that point.
Yeah.
And I was spacing it out too much. And you had later said if you had bugled
again. Yeah. Cause
been more aggressive.
Yeah. Because we had like set up, like Collin and I each kind of like shooting positions. I almost think I was up that day because it was
You were
the third day.
Yeah, it's always tough because you just have your perspective. You don't know what the next perspective looks like since we've never been in that area before. But we kind of picked two spots where we thought that he might come up.
Mm-hmm.
So you took the kind of primary spot. I took the secondary.
Yeah.
And he was ripping, and he was
ticked
100 yards away
for sure.
Right there. But you made the call an audible because you're like, I think to get him this final distance, we've got to be more aggressive. So you called me over to your spot. We could see each other. So you had signaled for me to come over. I stood in that little drainage, I guess you call it. You backed up. So then you and Chad both kind of got on it. You were raking trees, and I was like, I almost want to see this more than I want to.
Yeah. Because, basically, like, what in my mind, like, what was happening was, like, that bull was responding to the challenge. He was coming into the fight. I remember, like, as he was closing the distance, it was like every time Chad bugled, he responded. And he was like, raspy, growly. I remember, like, when I felt like he was going to step through the trees at any moment, you could hear him almost like hissing into the bugle. So like you could hear his like literal breath like beforehand. Like he is right here. And I remember thinking like one more bugle, like he's right here. And then you had started cow calling again. And I was like, oh no. Like what?
Yeah, I messed it up.
Right.
I totally messed it up.
Yeah. Like, and again, like it was a new experience for you. Yeah. And so that's where I was like, okay, like, yeah, I got to run back and then try to convince this bull that he did not actually just push who we were trying to pretend to be as the bull out. Because that's what I think happened. He was like, oh, it's just the cows now? Like, I won then. I'm the dominant bull. I don't need to come any farther. I scared him away, But then I was trying to be like, no, I'm actually here. And I'm really mad.
And you were like banging, the sticks on the trees. That was so cool.
Yeah, that was fun. But so that one didn't end up coming together. And I feel like then we had like, I don't know, the middle days were like tough because we would kind of get glimpses of elk, but never felt like we were in a good situation. And
we tried some other spots that had antelope.
Yeah. Collin had a super cool
some
stock
deer.
On some antelope.
We stalked on
the muleys.
The mules, yeah.
Yeah.
Same spot.
Yeah.
That was fun because we were moving at a snail pace to get closer and closer. And what we didn't see was the one that was staring at us the whole time.
Oh, yeah. I got to a point where like this like tree had fallen. And I remember looking in like in my periphery, it was like, oh, there's like a big deer body. But in my mind, I think I was also like, oh, that's like part of the fallen tree. And then I looked over and this buck's just like got us pinned. Whereas like we had been stalking in on this bedded buck. And I think we were 70 yards from the bedded buck.
Yeah.
Like we had made our way in. But then, that one had us pegged in.
It was a little like bachelor group. Like 4 bucks. Maybe.
Yeah.
2 smaller, younger ones and 2.
Yeah, 2 bigger ones. Like the one I remember that ended up seeing us looked in my mind like almost one of those that had started like backtracking. Like he just had huge forks, but like a giant body, like significantly bigger than the rest. But that was fun. That was a good time too. But
then we ran back into him.
Yeah.
Pushed around and.
Yep. They had almost done a big circle. So like we looped back.
Yeah, we saw that group quite a few times.
Yeah. I guess, so Chad, before you left, were there other like highlights from the hunt before we get into the last day for Collin and I?
I think the morning I was getting ready to leave, I'd packed up and we were putting stuff in my truck and we heard bugles from camp.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of walked down this little road and went into this little thicket, and this thing was engaging with us. And Collin, you were going to shoot. And so you went like across to this other little island of trees. And I've got some great video of Shane just getting after it, bugling, doing all this stuff. And then it went silent.
Yeah.
And it was no more. And again, the psychology of an elk, I just still don't get it. Doesn't totally make sense to me, because there was a couple of bugling, and we were engaging, and then it just went radio silent. So then I headed home.
Yeah. And it was interesting because things were definitely heating up as far as like the bugling and like rut activity. And so, yeah, I feel like for us, it was just like more and more picking up until, we eventually were like last day.
Well, yeah.
Oh, go ahead if you have something else.
Yeah. I mean, so I wish I would have written down like what we did each day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we like bopped around. We hit that same spot where Chad got his elk. I'd say maybe 2/3 of the trip we hunted that same spot.
Yep.
Never did get back in on them close like we did day one. Tried some other spots, and then the last day, we decided to drive like an hour.
Oh yeah.
Or it was the
wow.
Yeah, it was
somehow forgot all about that.
So it was the last day. The morning hunt was nothing. We didn't see sign. We didn't hear anything. We were just dried up, and so we decided to regroup and drive like an hour.
Yeah, I would say at least
from where our original position, or from our camp, to the spot that Shane had e-scouted. We got out there and started glassing, listening. We had a couple antelope that were they were in the rut, so they were chasing each other. Shane was shooting at groundhogs and gophers. But it almost felt like it was done.
Totally.
Like the trip was over. We had a great time. We were just enjoying the sunset, enjoying being out there. And that was that. We got back to the truck. It was dark. And then out from the distance, you could hear this like double octave bugle. It was like, whoa. And so, no, this is wrong. That was the second to last day.
Yeah.
So then the last day we said, well, we got to come back. So then the last day of our trip, so it was going to be 10-day trip, 8 days of hunting. So day 8 of hunting, we woke up at the butt crack of dawn, drove all the way over there, went to the spot where we heard the bugles the night before, and there it was again, that same double octave, very unique bugle. So we worked them all day long, got in to the point where we could pretty confidently say they were bedded down in a spot. So we backed off, waited, ate lunch, hung out in the shade, the heat of the day, and then we eased back in for the evening. We set up in the morning, we set up on that drainage. We made that stalk on him in a giant bull.
Yeah.
Like 100+ yards.
Yeah. He was like right at 150 from me. I think you were maybe 20 yards ahead of me or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a tank. Like, I just remember it was like a cat and mouse, like that whole time. And we finally got down and we knew, we're like, okay, like they are right here. And this bull cruises through into this opening. And I remember just being like, he is huge, like 7x6 for sure. Head back, and he's just like trotting around. But
didn't even look at our direction.
Yeah. And you could tell, like, again, he was like amped up, but there was another bull that he was definitely like concerned with. And so I think he came to figure out what we were. But when we were like in the wide open, so if we would have made another sound, he would have just seen us and like scooted. And so we didn't make another sound right then. So then he like lost interest, went back to the bull that he knew was there. And we were able to still, like you said, like watch him until, until they bedded.
And we couldn't make a stalk on him bedded down because we'd been too exposed.
In the wind. I remember like we were constantly checking the wind, and it was one of those spots where like, this is why they would bed right here. Like the wind is just constantly swirling, like no consistent thermal. It would pull down the creek bed, pull up, pull down, pull up. And like, we're we're going to blow it if we try to push any further. So the hope was that there was really only one section. If they're going to come back into where they were the night before, there was like one way they could have done that. And so, yeah, we set up for most of the late afternoon through the evening, and we had a grouse run by, and that was it.
That was the excitement.
Yeah, never heard him again.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was the end of the trip. We drove our hour and change back to the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of started game planning for the morning to like wake up and leave by about 6 or something, or start breaking camp down around 6.
Yeah, because I remember you had said you wanted to like be on the road at 8 a.m.
Yeah. Figured maybe a couple hours. Unless like we happen to wake up and there would be a bull standing in camp. Then we maybe put a stalk on him. So yeah, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and Shane had stepped outside to take care of his morning business. And I'm just waking up, just laying in my cot, ready to not get up and do anything. And then he goes, "Oh, did you hear that?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "Listen." And then sure enough, you could hear a bull bugle from somewhere nearby. And then I think he pops back in the tent, grabs like his bow and tube maybe, and is like, "I'll be back."
Yeah, I was like, I think I just had my bino harness. I don't even remember if
I had your like pajamas on and like slippers or something.
Yep. I was in like sweat shorts, my like pair of camp shoes. I did have my like grid fleece that I'd been hunting in, but that was pretty much it. It was that, my bino harness, my bow.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just gonna go see where he's at.
Yeah. Yeah, you probably didn't even have your bugle tube.
I didn't.
Just your pulse.
Yep.
So I was like thinking, yeah, this is not going anywhere. I was a little upset because I was like, we're supposed to be breaking out camp. This is just going to prolong the drive home. Wife and kids are at home expecting me to be back by a certain time.
Yep.
And so
there goes Shane.
There goes Shane.
There goes Shane.
Thinking like, yeah, pipe dream that we could connect on one last morning. But anyway, so I make my little breakfast and coffee, and I'm sitting at the back of camp, and like half hour goes by, an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, and then here he comes, like just dripping in sweat, huffing it back up the hill towards the camp, and he's like, "Okay, I think if you're willing to do it, we can think we can get you a bull this morning." So game on, let's go. So we geared up.
What Shane says when he says it, he says it.
Yeah.
Tell me, it works every time.
You can kind of say what you saw that morning.
Yeah. Because I was just, I think like genuinely just trying to see like how close he actually was. Because again, it was consistent bugles. It sounded close. And at one point I thought it was like another hunter that had worked in and like was trying to work that same bugling bull. But then I got to the ridgeline that we had like scouted out that first night, or like that first afternoon that we were there. And on the opposite side, I saw this like branch antlered bull, like pawing at the dirt, raking trees on the ground. I'm like, oh my word. Like, yeah, this actually is like another bull. And so then I like ran across to the other side, started working my way in. There was like a spike that was kind of on the fringe. Like he would pay attention to the branch antler bull, but he wasn't amped up at all. He was just like milling around feeding. And so there was a point to where I was like, if I get close enough, like I'll shoot him. And then the bull bugled, the spike like looked up, turned towards him, and then like started running with him. And so it was like the whole herd had like then moved towards, I think, that second bull that they had been like challenging each other. And so I like followed for a while, but I was like, I'm not going to catch him right now. And that's what I was thinking. Like if I had my bugle tube, I think like we could have got him back. So that's when I like ran back. I was like, Collin, I think we can kill this bull. Like he's fired up, like super responsive. I think we can get him.
Should have been maybe like 8:30 in the morning at this point.
Yeah. So like we had already hoped to be on the road.
Yeah.
And I remember you said like, okay, 10:30, like at the latest. But like, let's give it, a couple hours or something like that. And so then we get back.
We take off. Like you throw some pants on, and then we grab our bows and go. We don't even bring our packs with us.
That's right. Yeah.
We were just like, let's be light and quick.
Yeah.
So, we took off to that spot where you kind of anticipated they were at.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't there, but then you bumped a spike.
Yeah. Well, I remember like it was again like that cat and mouse type thing. I feel like where we heard them bugling, and I remember you were like, "Oh, like we actually might, we actually might get into them," but it felt like we could never quite catch up. And then we got to a spot where you were down lower, I was up higher, and like I was like looking to my right and then looked back to the left, and this spike was like 30 yards from me probably. And then he like saw my movement and he scooted, and then again it seemed like the herd moved again.
A bunch of crashing. And
so then I was like bummed. I was like, I just ruined it. Like they were all right here. We had finally caught up to them. And so then I remember we like slowed down again. We're like, okay, it's getting into like late morning. I'm probably expecting them to bed or like try to bed. It's like if we kind of like step off the gas a little bit, let's work kind of like a longer way around to where I think that they're going to bed. And so we did that. We found that wallow, that had the camera up on it. And then we kind of kept going. And I think at this point, we like got to the point where I thought they would be. They weren't there. It's like 11:30. We're like, okay, like we have to get going, And I remember you said
still like a mile and change back to the camp.
Yeah. Yeah. And we hadn't started breaking anything down.
No. Yeah.
And Chad wasn't there to tell us how easy the wall tent was.
Well, and this whole story neglects to cover your bear hunting.
Yeah.
Like 2 encounters.
Yep.
On 2 different days, right?
It was the same day.
Was it the same day? 2 encounters.
Yep. Yeah. That's where I didn't want to keep you guys too long.
Let's finish.
So we'll finish this, and maybe we'll see how much time.
Side action bear hunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to this spot. It's like 11:30. And then I remember you looking at me and you're like, just rip one more bugle. And I was like, okay, like I can do that. Because at this point I was already like signing off.
Yeah.
Like
this was like the sayonara bugle to the woods to say like, thanks for having us. We're headed home.
Right. Yeah. So I bugle, immediate response back.
From where we just came walking through.
Yes, we had like walked past this bull. It was probably like just up from where we had walked. I remember we like looked at each other like, no way, And so again, we made the plan to split. Like you were going to get into a position. I was going to backtrack a little bit to hopefully pull the bull like through and past you. And I remember like hearing a response a couple times. And then like hearing something that made me think like, oh, he blew out, like he stopped. And so again, I was kind of like, well, like this was a good trip, kind of like fun hunt. And then I remember like we walked towards each other and I'm like looking at your bow and looking in your quiver and I'm like, he's missing an arrow. And I don't remember if I asked you like, did you shoot at him or something like that? And you're like, I got him. And I was like, what? Just like, I don't even think that had registered in my mind as a possibility from like what I had heard. I just thought like we blew the opportunity.
That's how confident he is in like shooting.
But yeah, like what happened like on your end?
Like we split up and I pushed, I don't know, 50 yards, maybe closer to where the bugle's coming from. And he kept wailing on the horn behind me. And then there I could see out from near that wallow down in the creek bed, I could see the top of some antlers walking towards me. Oh, it's legit. It's about to happen.
Yeah.
And he beelines up the ridge towards me, kind of at an angle. Like he's going to head right below me on the side of the hill, bump right into Shane. Perfect situation. He stops maybe 45 yards or so and then turns uphill He's going to circle up to get up above Shane to wind him. He stops right at 35 yards. I'm at full draw. I punch him right where you want to punch him. And that was that. He takes off. He spins around, takes off, kind of back same level on the hillside from where I'm standing. I'm kind of like in disbelief because it all happened so fast, which is, in my experience, how it happens in all these elk hunts, or most of the elk hunts. So Shane comes, meets up. We high five, hug, go check out the blood on the ground. And me being who I am, I'm like, I don't know. Like I felt like I had a good shot, but so much can happen in these hunts.
Right.
Chad shoots it at sub 9 yards and there's not a drop of blood on the ground.
Yeah, I remember like right away saying like, this is more blood than Chad's bull had.
Yeah. So it turned out to be just a solid blood trail, pools of blood that are size of a paper plate on the ground, thinking this is sweet. Like we're going to walk up on him any second here. And we keep walking and we keep walking. The blood trail goes from being side hill to uphill, which is odd. Most of the time when you wound an animal or kill an animal, it's running downhill and it's running towards water or it'll circle a lot of times. And so we followed it, got to right around the 500-yard mark and the arrow gets spit out, blood from tip to tail. And then maybe another 50 yards of minimal blood, then it just stops. So yeah, we got to that point and it would have been 1 o'clock, maybe not quite noon.
Yeah. Like I think it had been an hour.
While.
Yeah.
We didn't want to push it. If it was still just laid up in the shade or something, we looked for a second or a few minutes around that area. Shane's like, I'm about to pass out. I'm dehydrated. I don't have food. I don't have water. Let me go back to camp, get our packs, and then I'm going to pull around. There was a road a little bit closer to us, so he was going to jump in the truck and kind of reposition and then search on his way back to my location. So we did that, searched for hours, ultimately never found him. Shane found a carcass that was a little bit suspicious.
Yeah, which I would say, like, it's still in my mind, it's more than a little suspicious because it was like we had made a plan once I got back to just start hitting every little patch of timber, every like creek bed. And so I remember like checking on my Onyx, kind of seeing his path with the blood trail. And I was like, I feel like he's going in this direction. So I was like, I'm going to hit this one first, then I'll loop around. And so I start like working my way down. And then I get to a point where I'm like, I'm smelling elk. Like he has to be right here. And then I'm looking, and again, like through some of these branches, like I see like a rib cage. I'm like, what? And then I go over and it's like a freshly processed elk carcass. And
still had all its innards and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Like still had all of its innards, which like from, the bear story, like the next day, Chad's didn't, like those pieces where I was like, this thing for sure died today.
Yeah. And
there's like still like meat that has not even like hit the sun. Like it is like, I could cut it off and cook it up and it would be fine.
What was taken from it?
The quarters were gone. Head was gone. The hide was like in my mind, looking at that carcass, it was like a carcass that was processed as quickly as possible, as minimally as possible. Like there was tons of neck meat still on it. The back straps were gone and the quarters were gone, but everything else was there. Like there was plenty of like rib meat, scrap meat all around, but like tons of neck meat. I remember that. And I immediately it was in my mind. Like, I think somebody found Collin's bull. It was a hot day. So like, sure, benefit of the doubt. Like maybe they didn't want this bull to spoil, but
maybe they found it. It was still on its hoof.
Right. And like they shot it
and thought, oh, sweet. It had no idea that it had already been shot.
Right. But still, like to this day, I think that's what happened.
mystery.
Because we covered so much ground.
Yeah,
When I pulled the truck around, I bumped the herd, and that bull wasn't with them. There was like another smaller bull, but I remember like describing him to you, and you're like, that's for sure not him. And yeah, I don't know what other scenario would have been possible versus it vaporizing, you know, like,
Wow.
yeah. So I just remember like also being so bummed for you because like after that, we kind of knew like we have to go back. Like we just have to go home now at this point. And like what a bummer of a way to end a trip that like started so positively, could have ended so positively. And now we're like, did someone just steal my bull? And you're like your first bull.
Yeah.
And you
guys didn't see any other hunters?
I saw one other hunter when I was pulling the truck around and like told him what had happened. He was only hunting for spikes.
Spikes or cows. You can hunt this district on a general tag for spikes and cows. So bulls were draw only. And then we ran into him after we broke down camp. And he was like pretty nonchalant with you, right?
Yeah, he was really nice. He was excited to hear about it. I told him about other spikes that we had run into. And so he was like super helpful and super cooperative. And he also like, he said he had seen us and like from our camp pursue the bulls. And so he kind of like backed off and was just like observing and seeing like how it all played out. And again, like how long it took us to process your bull, Chad. Like I know like this would have had to have been like a group that found Collin's bull and quickly processed it and took off. Because again, I think like it was a pretty minimal job. They easily could have done it quickly, especially if, I don't know, if they're like more experienced elk hunters than us. But this guy definitely couldn't have done it on his own. And I think it was like 3 hours after when I finally found the carcass. And like that could be doable for a group.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well,
yeah. We'll never know.
Mystery.
Yeah, I know we will never know unless someone hears this and claims it. Be like, yeah, that was me.
It was me. And
maybe don't do that. I don't know if I want to know. Yeah, I don't want to know who did it. Yeah. Yeah. But okay. So we are at.
Hope it fed their family well.
For sure. Yeah. They have good perspective from it. But yeah, we are right at the time that I said I'd have you guys. But yeah, any like big takeaways, I guess, from each of you, like for the trip, like as you reflect on it?
I can't wait to go again.
Yeah.
I had a blast.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I intentionally want to make it to where I can stay the whole time.
Yep.
Because I think I only got 4 days.
Yeah, I think it was
Saturday through. Like you got there.
He got there Sunday night because I'm pretty sure you had preached that Sunday and then driven down.
Then came back on Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah, so didn't even get 4 full days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You also didn't need them, but yeah. I think you could have stayed longer.
Anybody else's animal.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to do this the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Until I can't walk.
It's awesome.
It's good. You learn something every trip.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you do it. And so learned a lot from Shane and Chad.
Mm-hmm.
So Chad said, forward to the next one.
For sure. Yeah, I think for me, it was like so interesting just to see how different like that country was. I hadn't hunted country like that before. And so like how the elk responded compared to like what I expected them to do and like what they did, it was very different. And so I think there was components where it was the same, components where it was different. And so I think that was just like an interesting takeaway for me too. And another one was like, yeah, I'm never done learning about this and about elk, about hunting in general. But like I loved it, but I also like want you guys to like have the experience where like I feel like I like know it and see what that's like, just like a little bit different of a hunt. And so that's what I'm hopeful for. Yeah, this fall.
Next year, tune into the Holy Mountain podcast.
That's right. Yeah, hear another recap. Yeah. But that was like genuinely such a fun trip, and yeah, so thankful I got to share it with you guys. And this has been like a podcast and a conversation I've been hopeful to have for a while. So
it was good.
Yeah, thank you guys for sitting down with me finally and
Thanks for having
talking
us.
through it. Yeah.
Good.
So have to see what the next year brings, but
Big bulls.
that's right. Big bulls, bears, hopefully.
Bears.
And yeah, maybe a teaser. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah, exactly.
But thank you guys for listening. As always, you can find us on social media at Official Holy Mountain, or find our website as well, officialholymountain.com. And you can support us through merch, like these guys are both wearing some Holy Mountain hats.
Sweet hat.
Or you can donate as well. Again, those are tax deductible donations since we are a nonprofit. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of our community, and we'll see you next time.